Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Today we're taking a look at this MH6 that has some motor issues. This one I'm actually going to, before I show you the motor issues, I'm going to put this one back together first, and then I'm going to explain kind of the issues. I have two MH6 fixtures right here, and they both are suffering from the same issue, that the motors on them will not spin. So zoom works fine. It's a little shaky, but zoom works fine. And just the issue is with pan and tilt, which does not work on either of the two fixtures. So I went and I replaced the motors. I actually just ordered new motors entirely because one of these I knew I wanted a new motor on anyways. But I ordered the new motors and there was no change to anything, which was annoying. So then I was looking and I tried to find like a motor driver. But as it turns out on these fixtures, the motors are actually driven by the main PCB, which is really frustrating because that means that I need a whole new main PCB, which is fine. I can replace it. It's not hard. It's just $100 and some. Obviously not as expensive as the previous repairs I've done, but it still is a considerable cost just because of one chip that decided to get fried. So I also don't know why both of these got fried at the same time, or around the same time. I don't know if it's a common issue with the MH6s or what the deal is, but I'm just hoping to get these guys back up and running. So in this video, I'm going to put this guy back together, and I will also show you a motor replacement, because essentially that's what I'm doing as well with this guy, is I'm replacing the motor with a new one. This is for the tilt axis, not for pan, just tilt. And I think it's an interesting process, so I'm going to show you how it's done. And I'll show you that as soon as I'm done putting this guy back together from the bottom, then we will go ahead with the motor installation. So the thing about this fixture is it's got the motors in its upper section of the body. So they both are pretty close to each other in proximity, and they both do opposite things. One does pan, one does tilt, and that's about all. So also, I will mention a symptom of the main PCB having issues is, first of all, the explosion on it. I will post a picture here on the screen. There is a big marking from it that showed up on both of these fixtures, just like a huge burnt spot. That is kind of the main symptom that I've noticed. But other than that, the motors don't spin at all, so you won't feel or see any clicking in the motors. Like, it's essentially as if they're not getting any power. And it's just due to the motor chip being fried. I think I might be able to resolder onto this and replace the chip myself. It's just a standard motor driver from what it looks like. I just don't have a new motor driver, and B, the soldering tools with me right now. So this is an old motor, this is a new one, and this is the yoke that goes on the motor. This thing was absolutely obliterated. I had our maintenance guy kind of take a look at this to hopefully get it off the motor. That was before I knew that I needed the main board replacement. But anyways, so this slides onto the motor nicely, but before you do that, you need to take off the mounting plate from the old one. So the mounting plate is positioned so that the bottom of it, that is facing that way, and then the actual connector of the motor is facing that way. That will make a little more sense here in a second once I get this plate off. So I believe you can buy a new yoke for this entirely, which essentially should be this piece. It's $34, and I was only able to find it by directly contacting Martin. So that's just one of those things. I don't know how needed it is. This is greasy. By the way, Martin did not, but DJ Lighting, the store I bought these from, did tell me to use some WD-40 to kind of grease it up, because as it turns out, it's quite difficult to get the yoke off of the motor after it's been on there and spinning for years. So I'm going to just wipe the grease off of this, that way it's not getting on the new motor. And this little lip on here does face towards the power connector for the motor. So with that being said, I'm also going to wipe off the grease from the mounting plate, trying to clean this thing up a little bit. This, I believe he told me that he used some kind of lubricant, actually not WD-40. Whatever it was is greasy as all get out, but I'm going to set this on the new one, and then I'm going to take my screwdriver and then just install this. So, believe it or not, this is the easy part of the motor installation. If you are trying to replace a motor you're probably currently at the step of trying to get it out of the MH6, probably as I talk, and that is an absolute pain. So the best recommendation I have is to actually leave it screwed in. So you want to leave it screwed into the MH6, like the body, until you have the these metal clips till you have those out. So you can take some needle nose pliers, and that's probably the easiest way. If you take some pliers and then you pry that out, so you kind of just stretch it up and then over the lip. That was the easiest for me, but your mileage may vary. So now that we're here, you also got to reinstall the little thing in the motor to kind of hold it in place. Now, I will say I only have one, which is slightly concerning, but it should be okay. So you'll slide this on, but you don't want it to hit all the way at the bottom. I mean, you want it down pretty far, but yeah, you don't really want it all the way down. You want it raised up enough that there's a little bit of a gap there, because if it's all the way down, it's not going to rotate it as well, from what I can tell. So, and then also the only way to get a screwdriver bit in there is by using this section that's like kind of shorter. So you'll see if you're looking at it, but there's a spot where there's not as much metal around it, so you can kind of just screw it in right there and then go pretty tight with it. This is actually down a little lower than I want it. So screw all the way in, get it really tight. Your bit will probably get stuck if you have a screwdriver, so needle nose pliers to the rescue. Pull that thing out there. And then I'm going to try to find the other piece, because I'd like to have both of them in there. Not that it's life or death, but it's just, I'd rather have it. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it, so I guess this will have to do. So, okay, so now that we have this on, we can put it back in the MH6. So it's a little difficult. I would plug it in before you try to put it inside. You'll see what I'm talking about. So basically, and also there's two connectors here. So there's the one for the, oh shoot, that's a problem. Alright, we'll be right back. I got something, I got the sensor like stuck in there, so 1 second. Alright, so as I was saying before, this piece was stuck in there. Essentially, there's two connectors. There's one for this board if you didn't take this out, and there's one for the motor. So I'm going to plug in the motor right now. Kind of difficult to get in there. Plug that in. It does click in, and then now you push that through, push the motor through, and then put the belt on, just like that. And then now it's hanging by the belt. So you can push the motor in a little more, but you want to get it behind these prongs here. It's a little difficult to do, so you might have to actually take the prongs out, which is what I had to do on the other MH6 that we have. Okay, so I got this behind there, so you'll see now that we have these prongs on here and here that are behind the motor, so the motor's all the way in. And now I'm going to take my screws that I had taken out from the motor, and I'm going to put these back in, but I'm not making them tight, I'm just getting them in place. So essentially all they're going to do for me is basically just hold in the, oh, and this one doesn't have a washer. All they're going to do for me is essentially just hold in the motor, keep it in place while I work. Not sure why we have one extra screw. That is slightly concerning. Okay, so I'm gonna put the last screw in. Like I said, I'm not tightening these things. I'm not tightening these things at all. I'm literally just getting them in place. Now I'm gonna take my needle nose pliers, and this is a great test of your grip strength. You're going to try to get that in there, and you'll likely fail. So if you grab it by like the end of the prong, you can kind of mangle it in there a little bit. Like I said, it's super difficult. Okay, so I got one in, as you could hear. Now I'm gonna get the other one in. And this one is not in correctly. Does seem to, I mean, yeah, it's in. Now I've got it in. The next thing I'm going to do is put the motor tracker thing back in place. And this is mounted, actually, it's mounted on the underside of this plate right here. Mounts like that. And the easiest way to get to that area is if you move the head kind of to the back of the light. Then on the edge of your desk, you can come from the bottom here. And then for most of these screws, what I like to do is just get them in, and then I'll go back and tighten both at the same time. So that way it's even, and we don't have any issues. So in this specific case, I'm going to try to move the motor slightly because it's not quite level. I don't think it necessarily matters, but before I tighten these screws, I just wanted to get the motor kind of in place where it should be. Then the springs can kind of adjust to that. So that's kind of what that looks like there. So then on the back of the fixture, I'm going to put this one with the warning sign on it. Then on the front, I will put the other one. And now, you just take your screws and close up shop. I would do your center screws first, just as that will kind of get it in place. And then I'm going to work my way up from the bottom here on this one because it does click in here at the top. So like I said, I'm doing the bottom screws first, and then I'll do the back ones at the end. There we go. So it's now done. It's all put back together. Now I'm just waiting on that board to come. I'll install it down there, swap out the boards. We should be good for this guy. So that's about all for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.